So the Bucks have now lost 4 straight games. One to the Nets, one to the Bulls, one to the Celtics, and now one to the Memphis Grizzlies without Desmond Bane and Marcus Smart. Now, I know many people are suggesting that the Bucks should hit the panic button. And yes, they should. Damian Lillard, in that game versus the Grizzlies, he had 4 points. He was 1 for 12 from the field. And you already know he's bad defensively. Not even bad, he's terrible defensively. Now, I'm not going to sit here and blame Damian Lillard for everything that's happening to the Bucks because it's not all his fault, but he is part of the reason. His inconsistencies and him just being a defensive liability is a reason why this team is that bad. But before we talk about the whole Bucks defense, I want to talk about Giannis. Giannis, for the most part, he's been playing good. He's been putting up like an MVP type season. In the 4 games that he lost, the first game, he put up 38 points, 11 rebounds on 65%. The next game, 22 points, 12 rebounds. Yeah, you could say that game was kind of tricky. The next game after that versus the Celtics, he had 30 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists. Then the next game, as we just seen, the blowout by Memphis, 37 points, 11 rebounds, and he shot 77%. Giannis is clearly not the problem. And if you're watching the games, even defensively, he's trying his best. He's playing with a bunch of liabilities on his court. Now, one of the major issues I have with the Bucks defense is how bad they are in transition. For example, Ja Morant, he was passing, he was getting his team involved, he was attacking the Bucks defense and putting pressure on the rim, and they couldn't do anything to stop it. Damian Lillard and Gary Trent, they cannot get over screens. They cannot. I repeat, they cannot get over screens. And then Brook Lopez, he's so busy trying to help Damian Lillard and Gary Trent that the rim is just open and unprotected, but it's not really his fault because he's also playing with liabilities. He used to Drew Holiday, who's used to getting over those screens and being able to still defend. These guys, no, that's not the case. And also, Brook is aging, so it's just going to look bad now. Now, to be honest, I do think this can be coaching. This can just be the lack of personnel on a team. But to be honest, if you look at the Bucks roster, they have guys who can compete. So I do think it's a coaching thing where he just needs to make his guys step up and help Giannis. Giannis is really out here fighting by himself versus teams offensively, defensively. And that's not okay because they got Damian Lillard to be an offensive piece. They clearly know Damian Lillard wasn't a good defender, but they knew he was a good offensive player. But ever since he got to this team, it's been tricky. He's been up and down, and he's been inconsistent. And that's the truth about Damian Lillard, honestly. Now, before this game, before Damian Lillard, he wet the bed versus Ja Morant. Before that, he was actually playing good. He was putting up 20 points. He was passing and playmaking, and he was getting Giannis the ball in his spots. Now, I can go on and on for days about how the Bucks defense is just terrible. Brook Lopez is switching everything. Same thing with Giannis, too. But Giannis has to switch everything because guys aren't really that good. Dame is also known for switching a lot of things. But one of their main problems, as I said before, is them just not fighting over screens. Gary Trent and Dame, they just have to get better as defenders if they want this team to work. Now, I want to talk about Chris Middleton. Now, Chris Middleton, he was obviously going to be the 3rd best player on his team. Giannis, Dame, and then Chris. And Chris, I have no problem with him being the 3rd best player on his team because we've seen that before. We even see him be the 2nd best player on his team. But the thing is, he's been injured. Injuries are a major thing in the NBA, of course. But Chris Middleton, for the past couple of seasons, that's all he's been is hurt. And I don't know if he's ever going to be a healthy Chris Middleton again. When we see a healthy Chris Middleton, it looks good, honestly. But to be honest, I don't think the Bucks are going to get that. And that's why Giannis is going to axe out. Especially Chris Middleton being hurt all the time. Giannis next season, he will definitely axe out the Bucks. And honestly, the only reason I see Giannis axing out is because I still think this team could make the playoffs. Don't get it wrong. I know they are starting off 1-4. They can make the playoffs still. But the issue is when they do get to the playoffs, I can see them being a 2nd-round exit at max. Giannis will be eliminated, and then that will be his time to axe out. But with that being said, if you guys like this video, make sure you guys like, comment, share, subscribe. Get this video to 6 likes, and I'll be dropping again. I will drop a video about some teams I think Giannis can go to and possibly win on and be the future of that team because this team is just not the same team anymore, and Giannis knows that, so he's out. But with that being said, like, comment, share, subscribe, 6 likes, and I'm out. Thank you guys.